What's going on, guys? So in this video, we're going to go over everything you need to know before the update of the Flames of Ambition. So this is going to be a kind of a broad video that's going to talk about things that I've noticed that maybe fly under the radar. So we're going to talk about the hybrid build viability. We're going to talk about some miscellaneous things like damage reduction, battle spirit HP being removed, new status effects like the sundered status effect, the magic of steel, and the hemorrhaging. We're going to talk about sustain, CP curve, just a bunch of things in this video. It may be a little bit long, but definitely you guys need to know these things before the patch drops, or you guys are going to be pretty much left behind and you're going to be out of the know, and you'll just be starting out unaware of a lot of things that ZeniMax has done. So I hope this video helps you guys. If it does, please consider liking and subscribing, and let's get right into it. So next, we're going to take a look at the hybrid build viability for next patch. I feel like hybrid builds are going to be the most viable than they have ever been in ESO coming up in the Flames of Ambition. You could definitely see a lot of metas even coming to a hybrid build, which would be an awesome thing for ESO. It's been magic and stamina builds since day one of ESO PvP, so this could be a very, very cool change, just something different. And that's really what I'm hoping for this patch. Is I'm just tired of, you know, everything being the same thing on just a different character. So you're in the same build, it's just different skills, and typically most of the time it's not even different skills, you're just using different class skills. So I am excited about the patch coming out to actually change some things, just to shake up the meta, so it's just not the same consistent thing over and over again. So there are a few things that are changing. So I've already done a video about the armor and weapon changes. If you guys want to check that out, the links will be in the description, but I'm just going to go a quick overview. So for the armor changes, you don't have to run 5 pieces of light armor now to get the Prodigy or the Concentration passive. You don't have to run 5 pieces of medium armor to get the Agility passive anymore. And you don't have to get 5 pieces of heavy to get these passives either. So what this does is this provides a lot more viability for hybrid builds. You're going to see a lot of setups with 4 heavy, 3 medium. You're going to see some setups with maybe 4 light, 3 heavy. You can see 4 light, 2 medium, 1 heavy. It's going to be very, very different. It's all going to be preference. Sure, there's going to be a meta that comes out of it, but at the start, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what people are building and what they're trying. This change alone is going to cause a lot of build diversity, because now for each piece you put on, so for example, if I were to wear a light piece, for every single light piece I wear, I'm going to get 4% reduced effectiveness of snares applied to me by 4%. So if I wear 7 pieces of light, I'm going to get a 28% reduction effectiveness of snares. Also, the penalties and bonuses. So for the light armor, you have penalties and bonuses. I've already done a video about this. I'm not going to go too in depth. For medium armor, there is no penalties, but only bonuses. And then for heavy armor, there is penalties and bonuses. Basically, in a nutshell, the light armor is the polar opposite of heavy armor. So it's basically like rock, paper, scissors. So like rock beats scissors, scissors beats paper, and paper beats rock. That's kind of what they're going for, but the execution of this is not going to be very good in my opinion, because if you think about it, if heavy armor takes more damage from magical attacks, but inherently heavy armor has more resistances than light armor does, right? So heavy armor is actually going to be taking less damage from magical attacks than light armor is going to be from physical attacks, because light armor is more susceptible to physical damage, and heavy armor is more susceptible to magic damage. But heavy armor has more overall physical and spell resistance than compared to light. Sure, it makes sense, but the execution of this isn't going to be as what they think it is. It's not going to be just rock, paper, scissors. So that is something to note. Overall, I don't think the execution of this is going to be very good. Now, if everything had the same armor value, then great. Everything would be, you know, the same, but that's not what's happening. So I don't see how this is going to steer again into a more of a stamina meta again. So at least from initial impressions of what it does look like on paper. The next thing we're going to take a look at is the built-in damage reduction. So now there is a built-in 10% damage reduction in the system, in the game. So I don't know how I feel about this at the moment. There is also 44% damage reduction in PvP now. So they nerfed it down, but then they added the 10% damage reduction. So next patch, there's going to be a 54% damage reduction in PvP, which is really weird. Like a 54% just seems very, very awkward. But we'll have to see how that shakes down. It could be a typo, but I don't think it is. So there's going to be a 54% damage reduction in PvP next patch, on top of, you know, your resistances and whatnot. So you can get a 4% damage reduction to elemental damage, and a 4% damage reduction to physical damage. That's it. That's all the damage reduction that I think, obviously besides the slottables, but just passively getting damage reduction, you're going to get a 4% damage reduction from the CP. So you're going to get 4% from that, 10% from, base. So you're going to get a 14% damage reduction, which is pretty similar to, what it is on the live server. So it is what it is at this point. It's mainly them trying to balance PvE so they're happy, and PvP just gets the short end of the stick. So next, Battle Spirit is no longer enabled. So the damage reduction is, but you no longer get 5,000 health for loading into Cyrodiil. So basically, whatever your health pool is outside of Cyrodiil is what your health is going to be inside of Cyrodiil. So I have 28,000 health, so I'm going to have 28,000 health in PvP. So the stats have been incorporated into the base character, so you no longer get the health bonus, getting into a duel, going into BGs, anything like that. Which kind of brings me into my next point. Next patch, all characters have had their base health increased to 16,000. Their magicka and stamina has been increased to 12,000. So this is overall going to help non-CP PvP the most. Just to give them overall more stats, because you know what it feels like to go into CP PvP, and you would literally have 29,000 stamina on the live server, and then you go to a non-CP PvP and you have like 22k. So that's really annoying, and this is definitely going to help the quality of life in the non-CP realm of PvP. Also, characters now have 20 weapon damage per level that they gain. So at level 50, so 20 times 50 is going to be 1,000. So you're going to have 1,000 weapon and spell damage on your character. So that's why, as you see here, I have 1,600 spell damage, right? I'm literally running green, or like, I'm literally running terrible weapons, okay? So we have 2.7k spell damage. This is going to help overall damage next patch. This is going to really make a big push for more stat-based PvP rather than proc sets, because proc sets aren't buffed by spell damage or weapon damage. They're only buffed by the CP system that we have right now. Increases your magical damage, increases your physical damage, that sort of thing, increases your direct damage and whatnot. So that's the only way that proc sets are really buffed. And then finally, we're going to go over the Major Gallop passive. So now when you mount up at all times, so Rapid Maneuvers no longer gives you Major Gallop. It now just is passive if you have continuous attack, if you have points invested into this. So Rapid Maneuvers, you no longer have the slot. So this is definitely going to be a good thing for console players, because we have been wanting, a quick change of abilities to just slot rapids so we can move fast. Now to have it inherently a passive, this will help PC community as well. So, I mean, you just mount up and you get 30% movement speed. So pretty cool change. I definitely feel like this is going to help PvP a lot. Just quality of life. It's just small things like that. Okay, so next we're going to check out the status effects and kind of see what they do. So the 3 new status effects are bleed damage. It's called hemorrhaging. Physical damage, which applies the sundered status effect. And then magic damage, which is going to apply overcharge. So I'm going to show all 3 of those real quick. So I'm going to try to proc the sundered status effect first. That one's the easiest to proc. Basically, you just deal physical damage. So there it is. It's already procced. What it does is it applies minor breach to the target and deals a little bit of damage. Okay, nothing crazy. It's definitely going to help a lot of builds, especially stamina builds. They don't have a lot of access to a major breach, so this could definitely help penetration. I feel like this is going to be very, very strong for PvP. So now we're going to check out the magicka damage. So this is overcharge. So you basically just deal magicka damage and hopefully it procs. See, there it goes. So this is going to give you minor magicka steal and deals minor damage. Nothing crazy. So basically this is just like elemental drain from the Destro staff skill. And what it does, I mean, it doesn't apply the resistances reduction, but it does give you the magic recovery. So when you damage them and you hit your Swallow Soul or whatever class you're playing that deals magic damage, it's only magic damage. So if it'll proc, please. There it goes. So if I hit this guy, I'm getting 168 magic recovery every 1 second when I damage them. So that's kind of how that works. It's going to help magicka builds sustain, but again, they don't get access to major breach through this or any minor breach or anything like that. Now we're going to try to proc the hemorrhaging status effect. This one's really hard, I've noticed. hopefully it procs. Basically, it's just like hemoglobin things that proc. Man, that's stupid. There it goes, right there. The red things, that's the hemorrhaging. So this deals like the similar amount of damage like burning does, and it applies minor mangle to the target. Okay, so the minor mangle status effect, it will reduce the opponent's like health. So that's actually really powerful. It's gonna go really underrated. So that's the impulse, where you go pulsar, minor mangle. What this does is it reduces their maximum health by 10% for 10 seconds, right? I don't know if it's gonna last for 10 seconds, like actually like fighting somebody, but it definitely lasts for I think 4 seconds or so. Try to proc it again. It's super hard to proc though for whatever reason. There it goes. So I know it procs for 4 seconds, so his health didn't go down because he's an ad, but yeah. So minor mangle was very powerful. I actually didn't realize what minor mangle was until I looked it up. I mean, I've always known minor mangle was on the pulsar, but I just didn't put 2 and 2 together. That's very strong, very strong. Like that's really powerful. Just reducing somebody's health in PvP by 10%. You know, if you have 30k health, that's 3,000 health knocked off the top. So that's very powerful. So that's it for the stats effects. These are very you know, interesting. Obviously, they're still going to be the same ones, like the burning, chilled, concuss, like, you know, all of those. But these are just the new ones that they added. Okay, so next we're going to take a look at the potion nerf. So before, the potions gave you 40% health, magic, and stamina recovery if you use a tri-stat potion. Now it's going to be reduced down to 30%. And then the minor buffs like the minor endurance, fortitude, and intellect are going to give you 15% recovery. So this is actually a pretty big nerf. It may not seem like it on paper. So having 10% of your recoveries reduced, it's actually quite a bit of a nerf. So this is going to cause heavy armor classes and builds to have a little bit less sustain overall from both magic and stamina recovery, because, you know, medium armor gets stamina recovery and light armor gets magic recovery. So this could be an overall good change to, you know, kind of reduce the tank meta a little bit, just because, you know, you could run Eternal Vigor, sure, and get a lot of sustain, but a lot of the recovery just stacks on top of each other with the potion that makes Eternal Vigor so solid. And also with the champion point change, only giving just the tri-stat recovery now rather than just focusing on one resource. This is another good change as well. But overall sustain should be a little bit lower next patch, just depending on the build that you play. But I'm actually pretty stoked for this. This is definitely going to help PvP health of the game, I would foresee. But again, this is just, you know, my opinion. So now let's take a look at the new advanced UI system. This is definitely going to help console players out a lot, a huge amount. PC players have had this, you know, as add-ons for a while, but now having something built into the game where console can actually theory craft and look at things and actually understand what costs what. And actually see what their champion points, what their gear does to help their sustain, you know, damage and whatnot. So at the moment, I don't think a lot of these are exactly fixed yet. I still think they have to adjust some, but the idea and concept is very good. This game has been out for a while, and we're just now getting some quality of life changes for console. So it goes through everything: healing taking, critical healing, healing done, shock damage, poison damage. So there's different percentages. So there's flat values. So say, for example, you have War Maiden on, right? So the flat value for War Maiden is going to be like 600 spell damage, but it's not going to be a percentage value. So the percent value is going to be like the major sorcery, I guess, or something like that. I'm not exactly too in tune with this yet, because obviously it's still not updated all the way to actually do stuff, because as you'll see here, critical damage has 0%, yet I have the Shadow Munda Stone on. So, you know, it doesn't show anything up right here. There's nothing else that really shows my critical damage. So it's not working as intended right now, which is to be expected. It is the PTS, and they still do have a few weeks to adjust some things and fix them. But the concept of this overall is good. It's definitely going to help some theory crafting for console players. So this quality of life change for console is a must. It's going to help us out so much, and I really appreciate them actually doing this. It's going to help PvP, PvE, everything in between. So yeah, I really enjoy this change. So now let's go into a little bit of a change that is not technically too important, but it does affect some builds. So the Tactician CP passive on the live server right now, it's in the Atronox CP tree in the blue skill, the blue line or whatever. And the Tactician, what it does is when you roll dodge to dodge an attack, you set the enemy off balance. So this was a very, very big thing back in the day, and it has kind of slightly weaned off a little bit since a lot of skills got access to off balance, like dizzy swing, surprise attack, you know, that sort of thing. But back in the day, this was a very, very strong thing, and it still is used today. So there is no equivalent to the Tactician CP passive at all on the PTS, which is kind of a bummer for, you know, especially Sand Blades, but, you know, it is what it is. It doesn't mean that they can't add it in the future, though. So something that's another thing you guys need to know is the adjusted XP for the CP curve. So before ZeniMax really updated this, it was only at 1,020 champion points, but now the curve is up to 1,800, which is really, really good. Most people don't have 1,800 champion points, so this is definitely going to help people gain a lot of champion points really, really quickly after the patch drops. I personally have played since launch on PS4 and don't even have 1,800 champion points, so I'm like 200 away, but still, it'll definitely be nice to gain champion points pretty fast, to, you know, get closer to end game a little bit faster. Obviously, you know, people who've played forever should be closer, but this will definitely help lower level players get their CP a lot quicker. Overall, I'm happy with this change. I was pretty concerned about newer players not gaining CP fast enough, and I have done several videos about that, but ZeniMax has addressed this problem, at least from the initial impressions of what it looks like. Now, obviously, when we get the game, and it doesn't feel like it, then obviously I'll give my opinion on that. But from the overall, you know, looks of it, it seems like it's going to be okay. But again, you know, things have seemed to be okay with ZeniMax before and then have been completely terrible in practice. So we'll just have to see how it goes. So that's it for the video, guys. That's pretty much everything that I had really noticed. I'm sure I left something out. I'm only human. I don't know everything about the game, you know, or anything like that. But this is just the things that I noticed that really stood out to me, that I felt like you guys needed to know, you know, my console community, just pretty much everything in general. So I hope this helped you guys. If it did, please do consider liking and subscribing. And that's it for me. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.